So we have 20 minutes left. I'm going to shift to nuclear terrorism, which is the subject of your simulation. So first, Dr. Frank has a few words, and then I have a few words, and then we'd like you to break up. I'll explain how you might want to break up into groups a little bit to begin to plan this, because we don't have a lot of time, because the simulation will be next week. We'll talk about that.
Thank you. Real quick, I just want to give a little context on the exercise, the topic. You all read the exercise. The topic is this: the situation is an RDD, a radiological disposal device. It's been used. I just want to, like I said, a little context. So I've been at the lab for 14 years. And, for 10 of it, I joined a group there called the Nuclear Assessment Program. And I worked there for 5 years until I became the head of the group. I ran it for 5 until it was disbanded by the federal government. But what I want to tell you a little bit about is the history of the Nuclear Assessment Program. That in 1977, there's already a group run by DOE called NEST, Nuclear Emergency Support Team. What I want you to take away from that is, even in the early 70s, there's already significant interest on the part of the U.S. government to be able to go out and recover lost or stolen nuclear materials, to be able to respond to potential terrorist, non-state threats. And the Nuclear Assessment Program that I, many decades, 2 decades later, became part of, was the intelligence and credibility assessment part of it. It was originally associated with the idea being that if the U.S. government received a communicated threat, a letter, literally like a hand, people used to actually write a handwritten letter or a telephone call or whatever, saying that someone had nuclear radiological material and was going to do something bad with it, either terroristically or more commonly, I saw in the early decades of NAP in the 70s and 80s, extortion threats. Now, the Dr. Evil, $1 million, but no kidding, things just like that. You want a group of people who would go over the communicated threat and vet it for known instances of lost, stolen, missing nuclear radiological material. And if there's any technical content conveyed with the letter, the communication, you want to go over and see if it was credible. Right? You don't want to send out the cavalry to respond to every completely nonsensical threat. The point is, out of that naturally grew capability over many decades to track all claims based on all source, that's open source and intelligence, on lost, stolen, and missing nuclear and radioactive material. Because that's sort of the first thing you go to check. If somebody makes an assertion that they have this device or this material, you go, well, what do we know from all sources about claims or about that material being missing? There were numerous claims over the decades, including the decade I was there, that people had radiological material and were going to use it. There's obviously many thefts of radiological material, but I have to caveat that. Radiological material, as most of you probably know, or you'll find out if you stay in this line of work, it's everywhere, in commerce, in industry. It's used in construction. It's used in medicine. It's used, obviously, in research. And vehicles are stolen all over the world every day, and sometimes they're associated with construction or medical endeavors that have radiological sources. So usually there are opportunistic thefts or incidental thefts. Occasionally you have assertions that there were focused threats. Very rarely you have assertions that there were focused threats involving radioactive material. Here's the bottom line though. Over that time, there's never been an effective RDD used in the real world. There's been murders, there's been assaults, I call them, with radioactive material. People have done bad things to people that they were jealous of, or they didn't like their boss, or they were in a love triangle, and they had access to radiological material and they did mean things to other people, and sometimes it was really horrible. But in terms of a terrorist use of an RDD, the point is it would be a totally game-changing event. I think you have to understand, whatever the analysis is you do over the next week, it's beyond the technical. It's not just the LD50 dose windows, and the plume, and the blast radius, that's all important. You have to understand, this would fundamentally change the counter radiological terrorism game in the U.S. And I think the response across the USG would be really drastic, on the order of 9/11 or greater. And as an example, remember the assassination, perfect example, Litvinenko. Alexander Litvinenko was assassinated probably by surreptitiously having him ingest radioactive material, right? Great example of use of radioactive material that terrorism. You know, that was one specific instance. There was a major effort, at least I was part of an effort at the lab, to now investigate all means of detecting polonium 210 coming in the United States. What were the stand-up distances? What could it be detected in cargo, in hand-carried baggage? All of a sudden, everybody in every agency is scrambling to make sure they've done all the research, have all the answers. It would be 100 times more if there's an actual RDD. That's my message. Take all of that into account going into next week. Good luck.
Okay, very sage advice. So, a couple of things now. First, just a couple coming attractions. So next week, we're going to do this simulation from 5:10 to 7 o'clock. And it is the role of the National Security Advisor. Who's the National Security Advisor?
Chris. He's not here right now.
To ultimately summarize what are the recommendations that are going to go to the president about what to do about this. And the way it should evolve is you divide into groups by agencies or like-minded activities. So the military can meet separately, but also meet with the Secretary of Defense and other people in the Defense Department. They all come in with a common position, but not always. And the people in the White House staff meet as a group. And the people in the State Department meet as a group. And the intelligence community meet as a group. But that doesn't mean you can't interact across groups. That's fine. And then, I'm sorry that Chris isn't here, because it's really up to Chris to orchestrate how this is going to work. Normally, what would happen is probably someone from the intelligence community would begin with a summary of what we know about what has happened. So I've just given you the skeleton of this. You're going to have to kind of extrapolate and sort of creatively make up what you think has happened. And it gets into the question, what are the French done? What are they doing? What are they capable of doing? There's an assertion that ISIS is already taking credit for this. So, and then you get into the military, political, intelligence, counterterrorism, economic, and other measures you want to consider as possible options to be adopted by the president. And you can have a discussion about it, debate it, whatever, and then ultimately come up with a set of recommendations. I know it's not crystal clear, but it's from 10,000 feet, not 30,000. And as I'm happy, I'm sure I'm happy to, if you want to email us any questions on any aspect of this, happy to be back and forth with you so you clarify it. But it will take some work to do. So when you come in here next week at 5:10, you're ready to go. And if you can, have a name card. Or set it up so it's like a round table, or square, rectangular table negotiation. And everybody knows sort of indicates what role you play. And you want to play the role that you're playing. It's not your personal views, it's what you think the person who holds that position would say or do. Okay?
So something I suggested to a few people that were in office hours, since sometimes these things can kind of turn into a couple people having a discussion just because of the nature of how this works, it might be a good idea to bring a one-pager with some of the research that you did for your position, some of the equities at stake, some of what your agency or what you represent has at stake in this type of an issue, just so Sasha and I know that you did something in case you don't get to say something. So it's not mandatory, but
I think it would be a very good idea. I think each student to submit maybe a one-pager on what you did, or your thoughts, or something of that sort, even an evaluation of the simulation exercise. Put it down, I think that would be very valuable. Okay, so then we'll take a break after that, and then, because we haven't talked that much about this subject, I might go into a bit more detail of the problem of nuclear proliferation, and talk a little bit more about the Nuclear Security Summit, which is addressing this issue of loose nuclear systems. I was going to talk about it tonight, but I don't have time. And I'll sort of update a little bit from what Allison wrote about over 10 years ago to 9/11, and what is the current state of play of the real world problem. Okay, so that's what we'll do next week. Any questions or issues there? Okay. Now, Dr. Frank and I were just talking that we're willing. The following week, the week of May 2nd, is reading week, and there are no classes formally scheduled, but we'd be happy to have a abbreviated session, like a 2-hour session, from like 5 to 7. Here, if there's sufficient demand, if there's interest, we're happy to do it. Do you have the sense, should I wait till next week to ask you? Or how many of you think if we had a session 5 to 7 on May the 2nd, that you would be here? I know some of your conflicts and you can't do it. So it seems like most of you would. There's several people who aren't here. But at the moment, we confirm next week. At the moment, we'll plan on having a session 5 to 7, 5:10 to 7 o'clock. I have to confirm that this room is available, but I think it probably is on May the 2nd, which is really, yes.
What would the session be about?
So this may be kind of an overview of what all this stuff means. We could have particular topics, we could have more in-depth Q&A on aspects of this. We're really open to particular technical subjects that are still fuzzy, you need more background, we can provide that. We're completely, we want to make it as rich. The semester goes fast before you know it.
it's also a good time to work on your project if we end early. Since
That's right.
we're supposed to-
That's right. We could even do that. We could divide into 2 parts and have a time where you work as a group. Yes.
Is there a way to find out if this room is available any other time? In roughly between 5 and 7, later on during that week, so that we can meet together the whole class so we can practice this presentation.
Sure.
Because that was, we were thinking about that and scheduling that
Sure.
with each other. You know,
Okay.
yeah, for you myself to be there to see you.
But I'll look into that too. So later in the week of May 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's one other thing. Next week, according to the Golden Schools, we're required to administer a course evaluation that you are really obligated to fill out. They don't want any, in fact, if the response rate isn't at a very, very high level, they slam me and I've got to go run and chase after you all over the world to find you on some beach or somewhere. So they don't fill this out. So please, I can't do that. So in the last 15 minutes of the session next week, which is the 25th, you have to have a laptop with you because it's all on computer. And you fill out the course evaluation form. And I have to, actually, we should all disappear. Frank actually won't be able to be here next week, but 3 of us will disappear. So this has got to be done completely. It's anonymous, and it's not reviewed until after the final grades. So it's really meant to be really straight quality feedback from you to us about what worked here, what didn't work, and all that. Okay? So please remember to bring a laptop. Doing that, and the last 15 minutes of the class will be the first time. Okay, so that's all. I'm not going to say that anything. So you want to get together for a few minutes now, it's really your call. 5 to 8. Otherwise, see you next week. And happy to answer any questions during the week about the simulation.